So this film has taken me almost 13 years to make, So today, guys, I wanted to just share with you the process I am taking to finish my short animated film that has been such a close thing to my heart. And today I want to show you how I am creating the concept environment where the action takes place. And it's set somewhere in, I don't even want to just say the location because I want it to be a surprise when the film comes out. But normally I do, sketches of the environments where I'm gonna be, doing the scenes for some of my short films. But I wanted to show like my team an idea of what I wanted to create. So this is in medium. I'm using my Quest 3 to sculpt the environment. And it's just like sketching on paper, but this one I'm actually sketching in 3D to show the team where I want the action to take place. So this particular environment is like a research facility that's been abandoned, but is where the key character in the film meets the gorilla character that I'll be animating. So I am using, again, just two controllers. One is holding and turning, while the other one I'm drawing with my right hand. So I don't know if many of you have sculpted in virtual reality, but it's pretty responsive. And I'm a sculptor at heart. I've always been like a traditional artist from days when I was growing up in Uganda. But this is a table where some of the conversations are going to be taking place. And the beauty about sculpting in virtual reality is that it's three-dimensional, right? So when I create something here, I'm able to, instead of trying to draw multiple sketches of the environment, I can take the environment that I've sculpted and send it to the team and show them that this is where I want everything to stay. And it's much easier to do it this way, because then even if it's not perfect, because right now I'm not trying to do exactly what the furniture is supposed to look like, what the research lab is supposed to look like. I'm just creating an impression, a concept of where I want the characters laid out. For example, right over here is the seat where the main gorilla character is going to sit. And over to the left-hand side is where the radio presenter is going to be talking about. Now, this is the table, and the concept again is that because it's a repurposed research facility, I just wanted to create something that has echoes of both the future and the past, where these two characters are coming from, right? And so I wanted to just give you a quick overview of what this video is about, in case you're wondering. But I'll let you go through and watch to the end. Then I'll share some thoughts on another video, but just enjoy. And I'm excited to be able to create this short film. If you're new to my channel, I kindly ask that you spare a minute to subscribe so you're alerted when I post a new video. And to all my fellow filmmakers out there, I think, if you have a VR headset, I think this is one way that you could use to create your concepts. It's almost like being like a 3D storyboard of sorts, but this is where you start, because out of this can come screenshots that then you use in an animatic, or you can even use the 3D environment itself as for the animatic. But the beauty of it is that you have 360-degree view of the idea that you have in mind. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't even have to know how to draw perfectly. You just need to know how to assemble, or just drag, and this controller will release like some polygons. As long as you're an art director and you're creative director or film director, I think this is going to be a cool way for us to be able to bring our stories to life. So I'm excited, guys. I'll be sharing with you, vlogs of the whole process. But this right here is an environment that I know I've done some sketches in the past, but I don't know if you've read my story. But someone broke into my studio, stole all my content that I'd worked on for almost 3 years, and I'd made so much progress in this film. The beautiful thing about this tragedy is that it enabled me to start again and create new characters and update the models, update the environment. So even though they stole everything else, including the backups, yes, this was difficult to deal with, because I'd backed up the files and they stole the backups of the backups, right? So the only thing that I hadn't done was putting it in the cloud. And this was back in 2009, 2008. 10, 11 over there. So it was kind of difficult back then to like do really good cloud backups because the files are huge. I'm thinking you're talking about almost 2 terabytes of data that would have been almost impossible to just sit there and upload. Nowadays we have gigabit connections, but back then we didn't have that. And so I had to find a way to rebuild this film. That's why it has taken me 13 years, because there have been so many setbacks. And in the process, my wife and I had 2 kids. Those kids are now grown up, so you can imagine. So it's been really like a challenging time, but because the story is so important, and this particular film is about the conservation of the last remaining mountain gorillas. So when I set out with creating the film, I think at the time there were about 750 of the mountain gorillas left. Right now, it's right about just 1,000, but even that is still not enough, because think about it, 13 years, and that is because it takes a long time for, I guess, for a gorilla to give birth, for that baby to grow up, and then to be able to grow into a silverback that can run, like can lead a family, and war is still going on in some parts of Congo. And so that has impacted the population growth. So the rangers have to deal with poaching, they have to deal with deforestation where they're cutting down the trees. And I think in the film itself, I want to highlight the human element, the parts that we play as human beings to either the destruction or the protection of our planet. And that's why the value of this film is that, for me, I believe that if we are able to encourage the youth to be active right now in the conservation of the wildlife and the planet itself, we have then laid up a legacy for future generations. So I'm creating this film hoping that it will inspire young creators and storytellers, and above all for those who live in those areas to be able to understand the value of these animals and the challenges that they are faced, and also to partner with different organizations. And just, we've made so much progress since 2009, and I want to see that progress to continue, right? So right here you can see how the environment is coming together. This is a hallway, and you will see it in the film. This particular hallway is going to have frames with some characters in there. I don't want to give away too much of the film, guys. I'll give you, I'll be showing you some objects here and there in the process, but I'll leave some meat in there for you to, not meat if you're not a vegetarian, but okay, I'll leave some hints here and there so that you get an idea of what the story is about. But most important of all of this is that I want to show you the process that I, as a filmmaker, as a director, am taking to tell the story in this film, and the way the technology has caught up to my dream. Because for the longest time, it just seemed like everything that I wanted to do was just too expensive. Back then, when I started out, a motion capture suit was like $30,000, and this is without the gloves. Back then, it was a company called Measurand, and they had an amazing system that is similar to what you see now, but back then it was like top of the line. But right now, the motion capture suits are much cheaper, and you're able to capture motion capture data even without a motion capture suit. So things have really changed, and I feel like the technology has finally caught up with my dream. Back then I didn't have a VR headset, so I couldn't really visualize the film like the way I have it in my brain. Because right now I'm in virtual reality on the Quest 3, and I can just sculpt out the idea. Like right now, this is a hallway. I don't even worry about the texturing just yet. I just want to create a structure, an impression of the structure, so that the team can then go in and start sculpting. I'm a 3D modeler. I'm an animator, I'm a rigger, but I don't want to do everything. I want to work with my team to be able to, so that there's variety, there's richness from others pouring their thoughts and their ideas into this. Because it takes more than a village, to raise a child, I suppose. So, and in this case, it's an idea. And there's so many people who have been helpful to me on this journey. And I am so grateful for that. I'm so grateful to everybody that has been there in the process. Those who have prayed for me, who have encouraged me, who have sent me messages of inspiration and encouragement. So this part here, you can see I am thinking of a hallway, and this is an embankment of sorts. So the research facility is deep in a forest. And like I would have had to draw multiple sketches just to get an idea of what this was. But look at that. In seconds, I actually have an impression of where I want this building to be, the research facility. Of course, it's going to be, it will be a newer version, an older version, because I want to be able to do like flashbacks. And I am excited, guys, because it's going to be it's 3D animated, fully 3D animated. I'm going to use motion capture data to be able to bring the characters to life. And there's a Scott Travis is the actor that played the mountain gorilla. We had an opportunity to go to work with Mixamo back then, before Adobe purchased Mixamo. Mixamo had a studio in San Francisco, so I was able to partner with them, and they took me. I was able to travel there for 3 days. We did a session of motion capture and of the mountain gorillas, of the poacher and the rangers. And what's left is for me to do the motion capture of this session in the radio station where the two main characters meet. And right now, again, what you see in VR is just me blocking out everything. And just when I'm thinking about like what kind of structure is going to be on this other side, instead of having to draw, I can just draw a line, create a bulk, and that's like a big wall, because there's like this key area where you have cages. And you know what's interesting is that when this film came out, sorry, not came out, that's me looking ahead. When this film comes out, there will be a lot of, I guess, like things that you will see that kind of looks similar to Planet of the Apes. But I came up with this idea before the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. The new ones, of course, with Caesar came up on the scene. And so when I watched those movies, I was like, oh my gosh, these are ideas that I had for this film. But of course, I mean, I have some unique things to this film that are definitely not in Planet of the Apes. But I love the Andy Serkis and the role that he plays. The inspiration that comes from Planet of the Apes is amazing, because now I can see how they use facial animation. I can see how they used a motion capture suit to play out the role, the part of the chimpanzees, and the gorillas and all the different ape characters in there. So I've been so blessed to live in the United States, where I can actually bring this idea to life. It's been a dream of mine. I grew up in Africa, in East Africa, Uganda, and we grew up with storytelling around us, because our grandparents would sit us down in the evenings and tell us stories. At least my grandmother did that for me. And so I really want to just take that inspiration and use it to craft this story, and carry on the legacy of my grandmother. And so now what you're looking at is that I have in mind that there will be a tree over here on this particular part of the embankment on the cliff. So in VR, it's very easy for me to just pull out different polygons to get an impression of what the tree like, because there are multiple trees. It's going to be in a forest, and I'm going to be using the Unreal Engine to create the terrain tools to create this environment together with the team. And it's cool that I'm able to just get an impression of what it is. But when you see it finally, when the movie comes out, you'll be able to look back and compare to how the film looks to this right here. It may look rough right now, but it's really helpful to the art team to be able to see, instead of me just sitting there telling them, oh, it's supposed to be like this. But if they can see and rotate this environment in 3D, they have an idea. So this, I'm able to export as FBX and OBJ of this environment and give it to an artist. And I'm working with an amazing artist called Bruno Secandi. He's been with me from the beginning, and he's been a key team leader for the modeling team when working with the Adventures of Unkoza and Nancha, and he's based in Uganda. But it's so awesome to be able to work with my fellow Ugandans to bring this film to life, but also other like companies here in the US. One of the companies that I really want to give a shout out to is Puget Systems, because without them, man, I don't think I would even have been brave enough to take on this film with the hardware. And that's why I was saying that the technology has caught up with the the dream that I had. I was being blessed with a system from Puget Systems that has a 6000 ADA, it's a RTX 6000 ADA that has 48 gigabytes of RAM. And that will make it possible for me to load these heavy models and be able to be able to animate in real time and be able to knock out quick renders for the editing part of it, so that we can start doing the animatics and then they swap out with the final the final 3D models of that. So thank you so much, Puget Systems team. And of course, I'm grateful to the Noitum team who have provided me with a motion capture suite that I'm using in this particular process. And thank you to companies like Faceware, and in the past, I'm grateful to Xsense that have been there for me, that supporting me through that early stages of the motion capture impressions, and also to my friend Nathan Agello, who was a motion capture director at Mixamo, Travis Scott, who's the actor of the Mountain Gorilla, and so many other artists out there that have been a part of this, my family and friends. I'm grateful, guys. This has been an amazing journey, and I'm excited to be able to bring this to life. I'm going to walk you through the process. I want to submit this to film festivals. And so I'll show you the whole process that's why I'm starting with this part. This is the first video that you're going to see in this series of vlogs of how I'm bringing this film to life. Right now, what you're looking at is the character, the main gorilla character, the position that he's supposed to sit. I'm just giving an idea to the artist who's going to model this, that this is what is going to be the position. And by the way, I'm going to be using metahumans for the characters. So for all the rangers, the reporter, the rangers and their families, even the gorilla itself, I'm going to be using a little bit of the metahuman animator for that and the Unreal Engine. And this whole environment is the team right now is starting to put it together in Maya, and we're using the Unreal Engine to put the terrain and everything else. And we're going to be using iClone for some of the mockup editing, but a lot of also the animation will be done in the Unreal Engine because of the amazing new tools in the Unreal Engine 5.6. And of course, as we get closer to 5.7 and 5.8 and Unreal Engine 6, I hope that the plugins will be able to adjust accordingly. So between now and next year, early next year is when some of the film festivals that I'm targeting are going to be starting. So I want this film done in a year. I'm giving myself a year from now. No, not a year. I'm giving myself from now to next year around this time to be able to having completed it and having finished probably the film festival circuit. But every part of the way, from the marketing of the film to publicity, how I'm promoting it on Facebook and on YouTube. And eventually this film is going to end up on my YouTube channel here, so you guys can watch it. And I'm praying and I'm hoping that this film inspires you to create your own short film. That is my main goal, is that I want others, like once I'm gone, when I'm no longer on this planet, like behind, I will have left a legacy of showing you all that if you have a dream, and you have the desire to tell stories and craft meaningful stories that make a difference, that you'll be able to pull it off, right? And if there's success in this, if I win an award, I'll share it with you guys, because I want you to see what the whole process is like, from when you submit the short film to a film festival, to if you win, if you don't win, what are the challenges you're going to encounter. So as you can see, the environment has come together, and it's getting close to when I'm going to be able to hand it off to the team to start building it out. But I don't even have to do all the details right now. I just have to do impressions. So for example, on this table, there's going to be some equipment that is going to be used by I think it's the radio presenter, but it's also an echo from the past. This environment is so crucial to the story. And so they will be, I want to create two versions of this environment, one that is pristine for the research lab in the past, and also one that is aged, because time has passed, and this is science fiction. So none of these things are going to be real, but there's a theme of the real life implications of what we do as human beings to the planet. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I hope this was helpful. The environment now, the concept is done, and I'm ready to hand it over to the team. Much prayers for you guys, and thank you so much for your support. To all my patrons, thank you for your support. Thank you for everyone that has subscribed. And if you're new, please subscribe. I'm excited to share with you more videos and more behind the scenes. Much love to each and every one of you. See you in the next vlog, and it's gonna be epic. When you see that in real life, I mean, like the final version, you're gonna really love it. Thank you so much, guys. Bye for now.